I work for the Supply Chain Sustainability School. Thanks for joining. Stepping Up Sustainable Procurement, the CO2 Performance Ladder. So we're going to be talking today about a tool called the CO2 Performance Ladder, which has been really successful since it launched in the Netherlands several years ago, and is now starting to expand into other markets. And this morning's session is about the development of the CO2 Performance Ladder in Ireland. I'm very pleased to be joined by Johanna Varghese and Eamon Abbas. Johanna works for the IGBC, the Irish Green Building Council, and Johanna's going to explain their role in bringing the CO2 Performance Ladder to Ireland, what it is, how it works, and what the advantages are, both for procurement organisations, clients, if you like, using the tool to increase and improve carbon reduction across the supply chain, and also what the benefits are for supply chain companies who essentially get rewarded for their best practice and for their sustainability excellence, particularly in terms of carbon reduction using the performance ladder. Okay, so let's have a look at the agenda, and I'll just give a little bit of information on housekeeping as well, information with colleagues in your organisation. I think microphones and cameras have automatically been muted and switched off. I hope that's okay. If you do have a question, we'd encourage you to ask any queries and questions and interact with both Johanna and Eamon as the webinar is delivered. Please drop them in either to the Q&A or to the chat, and we'll do our best to ensure that all of those are answered within the hour that we've got this morning. Yeah, so the CO2 Performance Ladder, it's a fantastic, as I said, fantastic procurement tool. It operates as a carrot, if you like, rather than a stick, to simplify it right down to its fundamentals. It rewards best behaviours, it rewards best practice, and it's a fantastic tool both for the demand and the supply side of the commercial fence, if you like. So it's used by organisations who procure. It's used as a CO2 management system and a green public procurement tool. And for the supply chain companies who are certified through the CO2 Performance Ladder, they can get financial reward for that and bid more competitively for tenders going forward. I believe that over 300 organisations on the procurement side are already using the CO2 Performance Ladder across Europe, and over 1,500 certificates have been awarded as well to reward supply chain and make those supply chain companies more likely to win more work in the future, as they can certify the good work that they're doing in terms of carbon reduction. Okay, so let's hear all about it. I'm pleased to welcome Johanna Varghese from the Irish Green Building Council. Johanna, I'll pass directly straight across to you. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Johanna Varghese from the from the IGBC, that's the Irish Green Building Council, and I'm the Director of Programs there. And we're a non-profit and membership organization with 470 member organizations from the entire value chain of the building and construction industry. And along with Eamon from COLAS, we're going to tell you about the certification CO2. Actually, I'm not there yet, but it's okay. CO2 Performance Ladder and the experience of using it. We call it CO2PL for short. It's a carbon certification system that has gained the attention of a few public sector procuring organizations working on large infrastructure projects in Ireland. And on that one, Transport Infrastructure Ireland did a pilot last year, and they had a first procurement process using it with M7 Kildare Bypass Pavement Phase 1 project. And they did a market engagement introducing CO2PL to all the kind of contractors on their framework, and all the tenderers, there were 5 of them, all of them went for level 3 or 4. So just to let you know, and I'll tell you more. And then, so what is CO2PL? It's a certification audited by recognized third parties, and it's managed by the Foundation for Climate-Friendly Procurement and Business in the Netherlands, also known as SCOW. They also are a non-profit organization, just like IGBC. And IGBC works with SCOW to deliver CO2PL certification in Ireland. Next slide, please. So there are 5 levels to the certification. Higher levels have more measures and deeper actions. For example, level 1 to 3, you have to report on scope 1 and 2 emissions, but level 4 and 5, you report on 1, 2, and 3 scope emissions, and you can certify your organizations or projects or both. Next slide, please. So in a very simplified way, the journey starts with the public sector procurer inserting clauses in their tender documents for tenderers to use the system. And the tenderer chooses the ambition level and submits their tender. And then the procurer awards advantage points matched to the ambition level. And there are many ways to do it. Different procurers have told us, sometimes they can't use the method of just awarding advantage points. They have to think of other ways to do it. So there are other ways to award the advantage points. So can I have the next slide, please? Thanks. So the tenderer organization doesn't have to get the certification before the project starts. They have until the end of the project to get audited and awarded a certificate to the specific level they committed to. And a really important thing about it is the certificate is valid for 3 years. And during that 3 years, you can bid for tenders on that same certificate throughout the 3 years, okay? And costs for an initial audit are between 3,000 to 4,000, depending on the size of your organization. Next slide, please. Okay, so if you have more questions about the CO2PL, I've kept it very simplified. There's an excellent FAQ section on the website of Carbon CO2 Performance Ladder, or you can contact Marianne at the Irish Green Building Council, who manages the certification. And next slide, please. Also, I'd just like to tell you that IGBC is also running a green public procurement online training in September. And we also organize a community of practice on green public procurement, which is free to join. And you can, again, email Marianne at IGBC if you're interested. Next slide, please. Then I also like to give you a little bit of context for why this certification is important. Why does the Irish government encourage this? So did you know that the percentage of CO2 equivalent from the built environment is the same as emissions from the agricultural industry? So construction and the built environment account for 37% of our national emissions, making it the largest sector jointly with agriculture. And then also for Irish contractors, there is the Green Public Procurement Strategy and Action Plan 2024-27, so which is quite important, and there are actions coming out of that. And then next slide. I leave you with this thought. You may have seen and heard that Ireland may face a bill of up to 26 billion if the EU climate targets are missed. 26 billion is 52,000 new homes at 500,000 each, and that's 2030. So a bill that will be paid by the Irish taxpayers. So that's why it's really important that we all work towards doing something good for the environment. Thank you.
Thanks, Johanna. That's great, and that context is incredibly important, isn't it? And it's remiss of me not to mention the fundamentals and why at the root of all of this, we're here this morning looking at trying to collaborate and trying to reduce and control carbon and other greenhouse gas emissions with the couple of very powerful slides that you finished with there. So we're going to hear from Eamon now, who works for Colas, and Eamon's kindly joined us to talk about their experiences so far of using this system to benefit their business, both on the sustainability angle, but also the commercial benefits of doing so as well. So Eamon, thanks a lot for joining. Over to you.
Thanks, Andrew. So, hi everyone. My name is Eamon Abbas, and I am sustainability champion or analyst, however you name it, but for the Colas joint venture. Today, I'm gonna be presenting the case study of what Colas do and how we decided to go for the SCAO ladder and what we have achieved so far. So, next slide. So the content of this presentation is who we are, what we do, what's the decision, and the process involved, and what's our sustainability journey so far. Next, please. Yeah, so Colas is a subsidiary of Buis Group. It's a main construction business, and our shareholders are Colas Duronta, that's Colas Ireland, 70%, and then Colas Limited, Colas UK. It's the 30% share for that. It was a joint venture formed in 2013, and our staff is distributed in 5 depots in Ireland, in Kinnegad, Athlone, Nina, Innes, and Mallow. And our business is more focused on the tenders coming out from TII. So our one client is TII. We can say that's our shareholder as well. Stakeholder. Major contract is motorway maintenance and renewals contract, and then we have the external works that's presented as EW. It involves TII VRS term maintenance contract, and then Lister Bridges term maintenance, and we have high-speed road pavement renewal framework. Next, please. What we do in these contracts is VRS term maintenance contract is in the South region bound, and the activities are safety patrols, safety inspections, barrier repairs, and then the update of all the defects and repairs into their system. Next, please. In the term maintenance contract we just got last year, it's a four-year contract, and it covers 343 structures across the Leinster region. The scope of work is similar to the other maintenance contract, but it also involves the urgent repairs and non-maintenance activities like bridge striking and other urgent tasks that need attendance in these 4 years. Next, please. MARC, or motorway maintenance and renewal contract, it's a structure of motorways divided into 3 networks: network A, B, and C. A is in Dublin area. We can see eastern side. Network C is in the southern side, and network B is in the west south side. It involves multiple tasks. It's routine maintenance, incident response. We have winter service, and there is renewals work as well, and there is EIW works. These are the external immediate tasks that we have to do for the client at the moment. And we are currently controlling 257 kilometers of the core network B, and there is 34 kilometers of TMA tasks that's divided into and 85 and 19. Well, actually, in the map you can see TMA 1, 2. So these are small areas that we have to maintain in this regard, and our depots, they are mentioned in the yellow in the green map. So these are the 4 main depots for the MARC contract. These are all under the client's supervision. Next, please. So we'll go to the certification decision and process from here, how we decided. So in 2023, TII first time announced CO2 PL in the Kildare project that Johanna mentioned. And we immediately, as the bidders, we went out to search for what's the procedure, how all the information on the SCAO, Handbook 3.1, and certifying institutes. And luckily, Bureau Veritas came back to us. At that time, it was quite difficult to find any certification body because it's a Dutch-based or Netherlands. It's in the Netherlands, so. But unfortunately, we couldn't secure the contract, so we decided to go for the organizational level certification. It was a big decision for us at that moment because level 4 was a common concept to go for the project level, but organizational carbon emission calculation and the whole management system required extensive work. So we opted to go for level 3. And then our first audit was in August 2024. There was a big change in our internal management system in regards to GHG accounting and carbon accounting. And that's because of that, we had a second audit based on the first audit, just for the document control and to see if the system is in the place. It was luckily it was okay for the auditor, and then we went to the second stage audit, that's the surveillance audit, this February 2025, and after 3 months received the level 3 certification. Next, please. So I'm going to explain the core CO2 management things that we did. I'm not able to see on this screen, so I'm just going to look at my screen here. So in handbook 3.1, there is a big emphasis on 4 angles. They are angle A, B, C, and D. Angle A says inside, so a company has to do the full inventory of their carbon emissions, their energy emissions, and other greenhouse gas effects. If they want to, it's totally voluntary. And it should be in accordance to ISO 14064 and GHG protocol. The another difference was companies had to include the business travel in their scope 3. So this was quite a big change for us to track all the travels and flights and to account for that and looking for the emission factors. Then angle B, it's the reduction. So CJV has been quite proactive in this regard. There has been reduction measures already in place, but the calculation criteria for emission reductions in different categories required by the GHG protocol, that was not up to the mark, I would say, in the management system. So we improved that system thanks to all the guidelines given by the SCAO Handbook 3.1. Level C transparency. So it's now translated as communication. So that's where the potential grows. That companies tend not to communicate sustainability as effective as it should be. So we decided to go for internal toolbox talks, policy. So we shared the policy in different platforms in our monthly reports, set up the KPIs for energy and carbon as well. And then we reported it monthly to our client and on our website. So this was a big change for us. Participation. So we then took the initiative to go to seminars and different forums organized by our suppliers, and then we shared our sustainability approach to them as well, what reduction measures they are doing and how we can collaborate with each other on that regard. It is in process at the moment as well, and there are so many reduction measures and potentials that we see because of this participation criteria. Next, please. So yeah, associated costs, it's like minimum cost that we have in place for SCAO. So the SCAO contribution is it has to be the website has to be paid by the company organization who goes for the certification, and then it's the different costs. There is a different cost for the CI body. So I would say it's quite beneficial. If there is energy saving, then it's cost saving as well, and there is an added value for client. And since it's an innovative approach in the management, and so it's quite good on the image. So it's been beneficial for CJV to this point. Next, please. Then we come to our sustainability journey. So Colas has ACT program, and we have agendas, and Colas joint venture has 4 pillars: decarbonization, new solutions, biodiversity, and people. We excluded biodiversity in CO2 performance letter because this is totally related to carbon. Therefore, our certification does not include any input on the biodiversity, but that's our whole sustainability agenda at the moment, 4 pillars. And we do have plan to check at this point in our management system. Next, please. We set up the reduction target for 2025, and that's 75%. Unfortunately, due to unforeseen reasons, we are not able to achieve it because our reduction measures, even though we have implemented them, but they are not compliant with the client's requirement. So we had to take a different approach in that. But up till 2024, we have achieved 30% reduction in scope 1 and 2 emissions, and for scope 3 emissions in the SCAO for business travels, we have the policies in place for carpooling and reducing the air travel, and have more teams or online meetings in the place. For 2024, our global measure is we have 33.15 tons CO2 per million euros, and based on the CO2 reduction, we have 5 reduction measures in the place. Scope 1, low carbon fuel, and we shifted our heavy vehicles or heavy fleet to HVO. It's a hydrogenated vegetable oil. We tend to extend this to our vans as well, but the manufacturer requirements didn't allow us to do that. So we moved to the electrification of the fleet. So our small fleet is electrified, and 50% of the small fleet is in EVs nowadays. In regards to scope 2, our buildings, we have LEDs in all the depots, solar panels, and 8 water heat pumps. So totally in the renewable contract. And for the procurement stuff, I would say for our operations, so we had a big trial for the Pentac active sealing. So this is actually HRA milling. So there is 45 milling of the surface replacement. Instead of like digging up the surface and then renewing that, this is the Pentac surfacing. So it actually increases the road lifespan to 15 years, and quite effective. We have a very good trial with this, and we actually saved 96% of carbon and energy on this trial on 1 kilometer road surfacing. Next, please. Yeah. So new solutions, another pillar. So after the electric vehicle, small fleet, we moved to the electric heavy fleet as well. So we have now electric IPV. It's an impact protection vehicle that's there for our operations. And it's totally charged on solar power. So there is no extra cost to the electricity involved in that. And similarly, the Pentac trial that I mentioned previously, it's there, and we use CV system to calculate how much reduction is actually in the place, and all the LCA involved, like life cycle of the product, and the product activity from start to the end. We are also actively participating in hydrogen project in Galway, and we have eco system in place to sort to start a conversation with our suppliers if they are ESG effective, what's their score, so we can choose the sustainable suppliers in future. Um, in addition to that, it is a requirement now from client as well that our HVO suppliers must have this RED to sustainability criteria. So we look for this ISCC certification from our HVO suppliers. Currently, we have three suppliers, and all three of them have ISCC certification in place. Next, please. So this is actually not related to CO2PL, but this is a big part of TII's biodiversity initiative. So we have on our network B, we did an ecological survey, and we know the carbon sequestration value of our assets. And how much carbon sinks are there, and what's the value in next 100 years, how much sequestration is going to be there. So it's already done and shared with the client. We are also business partners of All Ireland Pollinator Plan, and currently are working on the rewilding in 6 different roundabouts and in our depots as well. We are also working on the herbicide alternates and trial the foam stream, palorganic acid. Their trial was successful, but the report then suggested that it's not very effective in the long run, so we had to stop it. SCAO's important step is communication and transparency, and in that we took a major step in educating our people. So there is they are trained on different aspects, environmental sustainability, what are the good practices on site, and how to do waste recycling in depots, so that our recycling waste number can increase. And we also conduct FESC every year, so to just give an overall outlook on the environmental, why we are doing all this, just to let the people know that why this is in place. That's all from my side. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Thanks very much.
Sorry, I'm just pressing the buttons there. Unmuting my mic and switching my camera back on. Thank you very much, Eamon. That was fantastic to hear all of the detail around your wider sustainability drivers and actions that you've been taking within COLAS, as well as how obviously the CO2 PL work fits within that broader piece, which is great to hear. I didn't realize that you were doing so much, particularly around those 4 pillars and the ongoing work that you finished describing there in terms of the biodiversity impacts that you're always looking to improve and rewilding, etc. The first question, just where you finished off there, climate fresque. What is that? Sorry.
Yeah, so climate fresque, it's a workshop actually, and there are actually facilitators to give this. So it's a workshop that revolves around cause, effect, and consequences of human activities on environment. And it involves biodiversity, coastal areas, all the regions in the world, or with a geographical region. So it's not it's around different topics. It can be biodiversity related, carbon related. So this is a workshop where we give different cards to 5 set of cards to the participants, and then they based on information on the card, they do feedback loop diagrams, and they have to arrange them in the order of cause, effect, and consequences, and what can be the other consequences based on the initial human activities.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks for that. I've got a number of questions myself, and I see Johanna's joined us again. Thanks, Johanna. So please keep typing the questions. Anyone on the call who'd like to ask Eamon and Johanna anything about the CO2PL. But before I come on to my questions, we have got an initial question from the audience. Eamon, it's for yourself. Did COLAS employ somebody internally to coordinate all of the requirements around the CO2 PL? It's obviously a huge piece of work that you've been through, or was it incorporated into existing employees' roles, i.e. maybe your role?
So there are different I would say there are two answers to this question. If you already have someone who is looking after ISO 50001 or any standard 1401, 9001, 4501, then that person can easily understand what's CO2 PL. But the problem starts when there is greenhouse gas analysis. There might be the problem to understand the procedure and how to look for the factors and stuff, even though the information is there. So it's not necessary to employ someone to do this if there is already a system in place. But if there is no
Right.
system, then someone has to step up.
Yeah, obviously depends how mature you are as an organization, as you say, and how much background knowledge you have to contribute to that
It depends, yes.
application process. Yeah. And your level three certificate, if I understand correctly, you've achieved that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that therefore gives you a certain percentage, doesn't it, in terms of award advantage for your tenders?
Yes, but it's not the only criteria for the tender bidding. So the meet criteria, it involves different sections, and sustainability is one of them. But it is an important factor, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Great. And you're the first. Do you know of other organizations, or Johanna, maybe bring you in? Do you know of other organizations who, like Colas, are taking this on board and putting the extra effort in to become certified through the CO2 PL?
Yeah, definitely. I think they are mainly organizations. I mean, for the one bidding on the framework for the one that's already been successful, there were 5 of them. So they
Okay.
all went for that, you know. And then there are more now because Transport Infrastructure Ireland is rolling out more frameworks. So I would say by the end of this year, there will be at least 20 companies doing that. And then we also have Irish Rail, they are looking to see which project they can pilot. And then that will be more companies as well doing that. And like I said earlier, it's good in the sense that once you do get the certification, it lasts for 3 years. So it's very good if you're on a framework, you don't have to keep certifying all the time. Yeah.
Okay.
But
Thank you.
like Eamon says, it's a lot of work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's an annual audit as well. So in 3
Okay.
years.
And you get audited by your certification body, i.e. Bureau Veritas, the ones that you've chosen. Would that be correct?
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
that is.
Okay. And Johanna,
Sorry,
so that
can I say something about that? Because when they did that was the first pilot in Ireland, and like Eamon said, it was actually quite difficult to get an auditor, a certifying body, because they're all in Netherlands. They're based in Netherlands.
Okay.
But since then, now this year we have TUV Nord, and they are a certifying body that's coming into the UK and Ireland. So it's going to be a lot easier. It's just that the last one was a pilot, and now everything is moving smoother.
Mm.
Yeah.
Starting to mature a little bit, and there's other certification bodies that you can go to. Yeah. There's another question come in. I don't know if you can see them at your end, but I'll read it out. What is the benefit of having the CO2 PL if you've already got ISO 14001? This person's asking, did the tender accept ISO as an equivalent to the CO2 PL? I presume the answer is no. I presume that there is that specific benefit of being certified through the CO2 performance ladder, and that ISO 14001 isn't automatically taken as an equivalent. But correct me if I'm wrong.
Johanna, would
Eamon.
you like to? Oh, okay, it's
Or
for me.
Johanna, yeah, either. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, is it for me? Sorry.
Yeah,
Well,
please.
yeah. I think if you have that the ISOs, then it helps you to do CO2 PL, but it cannot be used as an equivalent thing. Yeah, because this is a kind of rating and certification system.
Yeah, this is
for
a specific
award advantage. Yeah.
a specific system in its
Yeah.
own right, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Okay. Eamon, any
And it's not
think
a
about?
standard, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the certification process.
Exactly. As Johanna said, ISO 14001 is environmental management system, and CO2 performance ladder, it involves all those standards. So it takes different sections of those standards. ISO 50001, 14064, and we will see in handbook 4.0 there is actually 2400, the sustainable procurement, excuse me. So it kind of integrates all the standards to just make the management system more effective. So I would say it's not 14,001. It's good, but not enough for CO2 for the tenders at the moment.
Great, thanks. And just thinking back to the presentation that you gave, Eamon, you started saying that you didn't get awarded the contract initially when you started looking into this. Was that because you were certified at a low level, or that you hadn't then even achieved any certification through CO2PL?
At that point, so the winning company, they chose level 4. We as well chose level 4, but see, there are different factors also. So I think we deducted, our marks were deducted from that sections. But yeah, so again, it's not the only requirement. There are different
Yeah,
quality, safety and health,
sure.
and pricing. So yeah.
Of course, it's a balanced scorecard approach still within procurement, isn't it? But my understanding is that this can make the difference, I guess, because it does reward that performance, doesn't it, as the name implies. And there are different levels, aren't there, of certification, if I understand the system correctly.
I will definitely go with this one, because since this is in tenders, it's kind of motivation for the companies or for us. I will talk about Colas only, CJB. For us, this thing in the tenders is a motivation that we will continue to reduce the carbon and continue to imply more reduction measures, just to be in the competition, to remain in the competition.
So if I'm not wrong, then so even though Colas didn't get the tender, they started on the process. You don't have to have CO2PL certification before you start. You have to have it at the end. So even though they didn't get that, they went on that path. So now they are ready, for the next tender process.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks for that. There's another question from Shane, who's listening in. If you are already certified to ISO 14064, is there a huge volume of work above and beyond that standard to achieve what you've done, Eamon, in terms of certification to level 3 of the CO2PL? Quite technical, obviously, some of these questions, but it's worth getting into the detail, I think, isn't it? So can you respond? Is there much beyond ISO 14064 to become certified through CO2PL?
It is not that much work after that if we have 14064, because I can only speak from my experience. Integrating 14064 in the already developed system was a problem for me at that time. Big mess. But so there are 4 angles in addition to the standard ISO procedures, planning, leadership, management, resources. So we might have to develop the system or integrate those 4 angles into our original management system. So a big change is required, but once it's done, then it continues from there on.
Great. Okay, thanks for that. I hope that answered your question, Shane. There's other questions coming in, which is great. And I was going to ask this one, and somebody else is thinking along similar lines. Now that you've got to level 3, Eamon, within Colas, are you going to consider moving up the ladder to become level 4 or even level 5 in the future? Or are you currently sticking with level 3?
We are currently in the process of discussion that how we can go to level 4 in
Okay.
regards to what suppliers we need to contact, or even level 5, because there is not much difference in level 4 and 5. If we are done with level 4 once, then the same procedure applies to level 5, and it also depends on the size of organization. We are small size organization, so 4C and D, 5C and D clauses, they don't apply to us. It can be quite difficult at the moment, but again, when we start on the process, then we have to do this. So to answer the question, yes, talking to the suppliers, getting data back from them, and actually encouraging them to integrate sustainability into their system, that's a big work for us at the moment, big task, to be honest. But yes, we
Okay,
are aspiring. Yeah, we are aspiring to go for one level beyond 3. So
if you're a large
good luck to
organization,
us.
moving up the ladder implies that you're doing more work with your supply chain in terms of controlling Scope 3 emissions, if I understand correctly. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Which makes it more of a challenge, doesn't it, I suppose, and a more complex process. Yeah. Just a question around the scoring. When you bid for the work, this question is around how the CO2 PL was structured within the scoring criteria of the tender. Was it part of the scoring criteria itself, or was it part of maybe the quality criteria, for example, within that particular tender?
It was a different. It was Johanna, would you like to explain from the procurer side, so that it just makes the pathway?
Yeah, I mean, from the procurer side, because we are on the high level, I could tell you on the high level, it's actually up to the procurer to decide what each level is going to be for what each level, the discount for each level. So that's already decided by the procurer. Does that answer the question? Yeah.
Yes, and it's that the contract you bid for the score. You bid score the CO2 as the no, it doesn't score as the part of quality criteria, because quality is totally separate in that regard, and it is different. It's now another section, environment or sustainability and carbon management. So it's a separate section.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that. There was another question coming through, which you've already answered, regards your intention or your aim to move up to level 4, V4 of the ladder, which you've answered, which is great. So, Johanna, one for you maybe. Obviously, to get more information for the companies who are participating in this conversation, come straight to yourselves, I presume, at the IGBC, and you've got the relationship, therefore, with, my Dutch isn't very good,
SCOW,
which is the Foundation for Climate-Friendly Procurement and Business, in Dutch, obviously.
That's right. Yeah. So if you have anything of your interested, we can even do a presentation to your organization. We can organize that to give you more information. So we are very open to anyone interested in it. We'd love to tell you about the CO2 PL in detail. Yeah.
Thank you. And we'll obviously provide all of the details and of Johanna and colleagues, and Marianne, your colleague, isn't it, who works on this side?
That's right. Yeah, Marianne is the project manager for CO2 PL. Yeah.
There was a question that came in, just a comment really, regards the auditors, particularly within TUV Nord. There was a comment that although there's a UK and Irish branch, the participant is saying that they're still predominantly Dutch auditors that they are using. So maybe they're moving towards increasing their capacity in terms of auditing, but they're still relying, I think, on some Dutch auditors, which is potentially a time constraint in terms of achieving certification or regular audits, I presume, particularly for larger organizations who've got potentially a more complex process to go through.
Yeah, Yeah, I have to agree. It is, and I'm sure Eamon will give us the details, but it is a long process, especially if you're a large organization. But on that one, I mean, now we do have an auditor for Ireland, so that will make it easier, I think. And also, you know, you just have to start the process early, and you know, you have the whole period of the project, duration of the project to get it done. So, but I would let Eamon maybe make a comment on that.
Sorry, I was answering someone on the chat.
Okay.
Right,
Um,
okay. No problem. It's just in terms of the auditing, how you found that process.
Auditing, it's so yes, the problem is there, but since we have TUV Nord, and there is actually one comment that they are still using the Dutch auditors, so it's a training gap, I would say, at the moment for the auditing. But the one gap I found in when the Dutch auditor was here in our system, so our ISO system was totally separate or different to what they have in the practice. So there were a lot of critical questions in the auditing scenario, but at the end of the day, it's like we have to either give them the action plans or just raise NCRs. So I hope I answered that question. Sorry, I was just lost in that conversation there.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Thanks. Okay,
Yeah.
let's move on. Question regarding the handbook, particularly version 4 of the handbook. Johanna, you might be able to comment on this. Is it your understanding that procurement companies who are adopting CO2 PL are looking more at version 4 now of the handbook in Ireland, or
No, they are not yet on version 4. It's
okay.
not, you know, it will be launched soon, so it's not.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
still 3.1, would
Yeah,
that be
it's
right?
still
Yeah.
3.1. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. What else? I was intrigued about the handbook. I'll have to look at the handbook myself, but this is obviously the detailed specification and information for those who are going for certification. Is the handbook, I presume, and I guess that's available online or through yourselves, Johanna.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You know, the website of CO2 Performance Ladder is a really good resource. So
Yeah.
there's even, you know, information and answers to, you know, legal criteria and all the things you have to put into the tender. So, and case studies as well. So I would say have a look at that. That's a good place for resources.
Great. And that's CO2. I've just got it up here on my screen. CO2 Performance Ladder, all one
Yeah,
word.
I can put it in the
.com.
chat actually.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just people got that direct link. Okay, thanks everyone for asking these questions. Are there any others, or should I go to the chat and see if there's anything in the chat? Just 1 second. Back to the Q&A. Just looking up to make sure that we've got everything covered. Again, whether there were any other questions from my side. Yeah, so I guess just for clarity, back to the auditing again, the choice at the moment seems to be Bureau Veritas or was it TUV? TUV Nord.
Sorry, can you say that question again?
Just to clarify, in terms of the auditing, the choice in Ireland seems to be Bureau Veritas or TUV Nord. Would that be correct?
Yeah, TUV Nord is the company moving into UK and Ireland.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Great. Okay. Thanks. I see you've got the link for the CO2 Performance Ladder. Are there any other questions? We've answered quite a number, so thanks to Eamon and Johanna for helping us do that. And I've left some of them open, but I think we've been through all of them. I'm going up and down the list on my screen. Is there anything that, when you were listening to Eamon's presentation, Johanna, that you wanted to come in and add, or vice versa, Eamon? Is there anything else that you'd like to add? You've given a lot of detail as to what Coalesce's journey has been so far. Thanks for that. Is there anything else that you'd like to comment on from the questions that have been asked or what you've heard from Johanna?
No, at the moment, no.
no. Well, for me, I just want to say how impressed I was to see the strategy that Colas has and all the work that you have to do to get to the level required. So really well done. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you. It's a group work. Like it's a good thing here that teams, they work together and it's integrated. So it's not one man job. It's collective action.
that's great. And from our side, this has been fantastic discussion, and it's really given us food for thought in terms of finding out more about CO2PL and working with yourselves, Johanna, to promote it more in Ireland across the school's members, which we'll certainly do, and we can contribute in that way. But I'm already thinking that it would be good to hear from TII themselves at a future session. So hopefully we can organise something in the autumn to involve them and hear from them in terms of why they're using it, what the benefits are to themselves as a major procuring body, and also potentially Irish Rail if they've got more information to add as it matures on from there.
We do have videos, and we do have some blogs and articles from, like interviews with TII. So you can have a look at that. That's also on the CO2PL website. And basically the feedback from them is that it was actually, once they understood the system, it was actually quite simple to implement on their side.
Yeah, okay. That's great. Yeah, I see. So if you go to Ireland, in
you
terms of
can
the
see
countries
that.
on the CO2 performance ladder site, I see now, yeah. That's great.
And you can also access the handbook and, the technical requirements just to have a look at what's required. And you can see that on the website. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you very, very much. When will this recording be available? I'll have to liaise with my colleague Poppy, but it's generally within 48 hours or so that we send the recording out. We just need to tidy it up and probably cut out all of my umming and ahhing, but we'll do that as soon as we can. We've got a team day here at the school tomorrow, so it'll probably be end of the week, I suspect, when we'll get the recording link across to everybody who's been part of this call. And Poppy's just flashed up the last slide, which is feedback. If you can spare us a minute or so to give you feedback on this session, it would be really appreciated. It remains for me to thank Eamon again and Johanna again for their participation. A fascinating subject this, and I'm sure it will grow and grow in Ireland with the backing of the IGBC and major organisations on the procurement side, semi-states, as well as key supplier partners and the broader supply chain starting to adopt it in greater numbers. It will see huge development, I'm sure, over the next year or two in Ireland, which is fantastic. So thanks again, Johanna. Thanks, Eamon. Look forward to working with you again. And we'll send the recording round as soon as we can, and also the PDF copies of the slides. See you all again soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
including me.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.